The Whiskey Brothers.
Welcome to the Whiskey Brothers podcast, everybody. Slightly early edition if you're watching us live. For the rest of you, 10:29 begins right now. However you're listening to it, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or you're stealing it from your neighbor. I don't know how you're getting things. We're your Whiskey Brothers. I am Slade Ham, your host, as always, for well over 1,000 of these. Across from me, Jerry Wayne Longmire, TikTok star and boot hawker, however you pronounce it. And our guest today, in lieu of Trey Tudson and Sam Damaris, Paul Oddo, who was just recently on an episode with me overseas, and our dear friend Chuck Savage. Welcome back to the show.
Ladies.
Bass player, musician extraordinaire, also a very funny Houston comic from our Laff Stop days. It's good to always have you back in the studio.
Our theme music.
That's ding dong. That's what he does around here.
He's our musical director. I believe we established that.
I've been the musical director for over 20 years, I think.
Longer than I've been in the podcast.
It's good we finally got music now.
I mean, how long ago was that? Let's see. Probably 2000, 2001, so that'd be...
You were... that's when you came and played, I remember the Beaumont show, and you were with the Whiskey Brothers back then.
99, 2000, something like that?
I think it was 2000, 2001. Good God.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
That was 20 fucking years ago.
All right, Chuck, never bring any of this up again.
Time traveler's wife. We've come along.
I want to say thanks to Mary Whitaker from Kentucky. She's coming to our show in Louisville. We'll be there. Where are we there? August, September?
End of August, man. I've got some TikTok creators coming out that do a lot of really cool shit that are making the trip.
It's gonna be phones all over the place.
That's fun.
I can't be more excited. We're drinking New Riff. This comes from northern Kentucky, the greater Cincinnati area. We got two bottles. This one is a straight bourbon whiskey, and this other one is a rye. But this got an interesting mash. It's corn, 65% corn, 30% rye, and then 5% malted barley. So
and
I think
the bottle looks like a black and tan.
That's what it looks like. It's been driving me nuts. It's 100% a black and tan. What's the proper way to pour that? Guinness and what?
Well, it depends. I mean, I guess it would be harp or some lager, but it depends on who you're talking to. I mean,
the way he sighed, I thought this was about to get really complicated.
I mean, just a beer
if you go
that
back
works.
to the rules of 1772,
the English will say you can't mix a harp ale with an Irish stout. But
first you got to drop 3 grains of sand in the bottle, and that sand's got to come from Worcestershire.
Yeah, it ultimately, I was trying to go the other way. Like, it depends on how cunty you want to be. Really? Because it's just like
dark and light beer.
Yeah. It works with that, unless it's a cider, and then you got a whole other thing.
What does that turn into?
Dark and light rum?
Well,
that's
a dark and stormy. You do a dark and stormy like that.
Oh,
I never even heard that.
Oh, that's ginger beer, rum, and then a little dark rum on top, ginger beer, lime. That's really good. But yeah, with a cider, it's a snake bite, I believe it's called.
So like what are all the other dark and light things you can mix now?
Oh, black. One of my favorites is a culture, and then also, there's a drink that's not a dark and light, but it's the only way I like Blue Moon, which is a black and blue. So they float.
What is that?
They float Guinness on top of Blue Moon.
Wow, I kind of like a Blue Moon.
You ever seen a Mexican flag?
No.
It's like green stuff on the bottom, whatever that crap is.
Midori.
And
Cream
then,
banana.
and then a white liqueur in the middle.
Oh.
And then a black. It's like the Mexican flag color. What is
shot, right?
What color is the Mexican flag?
I've
They
seen
wouldn't
this
use
before.
red?
Yellow, red, and green.
Yellow.
No, excuse me.
Green, red,
and white. My bad.
But yeah, that's what they do. They layer it like that, and you can layer it to where the cream sits in the middle or something like that. You know?
Yeah.
It just depends on the weight,
yeah.
the viscosity of the liquor.
That sounds like you're mixing bad shit, though.
Yeah, it's not.
Midori
it's
and
for looks.
cream doesn't.
It's for looks only.
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
I'm guessing that's some sort of cinnamon something on top.
Sounds right.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a lot. The snake bite drinks are pretty good, Guinness and cider. But yeah, you gotta just hit it with a something that diffuses the Guinness instead of pouring down into it. So people use the little like the spoon that dangles on the side, but you could also do it with a knife or anything. As long as it just doesn't go directly into it. Never had a Guinness.
Wait, what?
Never tried.
Oh, me and you got to go. I want to go have your first Guinness with you.
I just never tried one.
It's an acquired taste, I think.
Yeah.
It's like eating a large sandwich.
So it's like Coors Banquet.
Yeah, but oddly enough, very low calorie.
Yeah, it's the least hiccupy of the beers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Mexican flag for those of you.
Oh, right.
It looks like an Italian flag.
It does.
Yeah, I don't know what it says.
See, now if you-
Grenadine into a shot glass.
Ugh.
Oh,
You've
now
already-
it's not even alcoholic
Yeah.
on the bottom. So it's just cream and Midorian milk.
Yeah.
Watermelon milk.
Yeah.
Who wants some watermelon
I don't even
milk?
want to know what
Yeah.
the rest of the
I
stuff
think that's
is.
probably a thing in Japan, though.
Oh, I'm
watermelon, 100%. But they're smart enough to have figured out how to actually milk watermelons.
Sure. Yes, they genetically put
somebody-
tits on them.
Somebody sent me some Kit Kats from there that were like green tea Kit Kats.
Oh, like
They're like, these
matcha?
are all the rage there. And I'm like, well, fuck, man. Can I send you the other two back?
Yeah.
They are not the rage at my house.
Yeah, Biggerstaff had a shitload of those. Biggerstaff had a bunch of those in our place in New York.
Matcha Kit Kats?
Yeah, weird ass like, just exotic candies. Yeah, he
The
had all
Japanese
kinds
in
of.
particular have taken the Kit Kat in a lot of weird directions.
Mhm.
There,
Yeah, I've
so
seen
we encountered that. Paul and I spent a lot of time in Europe last month, and we encountered a variety of. We had a Chase DeRusso with us, which
Mm-hmm.
didn't hurt. He was venturing into gas stations, which are remarkable.
Yeah.
If we have not acknowledged the beauty that is a Polish gas station,
They figured it out to make it nice.
golf clap for
Very,
real.
very nice.
It's like a real little store on the corner.
It makes 7-Eleven look like a lot lizard.
Now, is this a travel center or just a small little store?
Just
no,
a
these
gas
are
station.
all the gas stations. You
And
can.
it's like a it reminds you of like a lounge at the airport.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
It's almost that nice. You're like, it's couches and shit in here. You can sit down.
I want to film a travel show where we just go experience gas
stations?
stations.
Okay, well, you have to have a Polish episode, and one of us will come be your guide.
Because I remember the ones in was it Iraq were pretty crazy. Dude,
Oh.
yeah, they sold everything. Your CD that hadn't come out yet, everything.
That was I remember in Korea. It wasn't a gas station, but they were selling a lot of bootlegs on the side of the road when J.R. Brow and I were there, and they were selling porn DVDs. But because it was like bootleg Korean, all of the titles were very poorly misspelled. So it was like Campus Concussions and Barely Regal. And all sort of.
I experienced like my first high pressure. Like I grew up in A-Leaf, and there's a lot of Persian salesmen there in the stores and stuff. But I'd never experienced them like one that's maybe not far from starvation, and he's really high pressure.
My friend.
Yeah. And I was like, I just looked at this bracelet, and he goes, you want my friend? $50, my friend. And I was like, no, that's okay. $25, man. Don't bullshit me, man. $25. That's a super sweet, super tight deal. And I was like, no, I really don't want it. $5, my friend. Don't bullshit me. And I was like,
We went on a cruise when we were like when I was like 18, I think. Me and it was a weird thing. It was just like my grandma wanted to take me and my family, and so we went and got off on like, was it Honduras and a couple just like the little touristy spots. And when you walk the pier, they're just bombarding you with like, hey, take this, whatever. And this guy's yelling at me, goes, my friend, come check out my sister. And I was like, what? And like, no, thank you. And then they tried to offer my brother a big crazy knife, like a weird Klingon thing that you'd see on like a late night
4
knife
blades.
show. And he's like, my friend, feel the power. And he'd like try to put it in his hand. It felt like a dream.
this sounds a lot like McAllen, Texas.
Yeah, I think a lot.
There is something to be learned. That level of street hustling salesperson has more tenacity in their little pinky. I'm holding up my thumb. One of their fingers. Than anyone I've never seen a level of just I don't hear no.
Yeah.
You can't even say no. Inspires them. You have the only trick is nothing.
You know what also inspires that is hunger.
Yep.
Oftentimes.
Yeah.
That'll
Hunger's
drive
very
that.
inspirational.
Yeah, well, sales-wise.
I ate
I've
at a
been there.
KFC in Iraq, and that was really funny, too, because that was the leanest chicken I'd ever had.
Oh,
It
my
was-
God.
I was like, that motherfucker ran for its life this morning.
Yeah. Not a lot of free ranging.
So we will take you to a gas station in Poland, and we will show you all of the delicacies that are there, including all of the different Kit Kats, which Japan has the market cornered on. But there was raspberry. I think there was a tea. Whoever does grape Kit Kats first wins. I think that's the ultimate. You went too far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's truly like the rest of the world is just the testing ground for all the weird stuff, and then the top of the stuff ends up here.
Whatever
And
makes it.
Yeah.
That's the young brands, all the KFC and the Pizza Inn and all that stuff. They go crazy overseas, too, with all these terrible fucking combinations.
Weird
of shit they're
experimental
doing.
ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the people who still like David Hasselhoff.
I'm
Right.
still thinking about a cinnamon Kit Kat. That'd be kind of good.
Okay, hold up, mad scientist.
I'm not really mad at that. I could probably get behind that.
That's what I'm saying.
They're making one right now. If they heard that,
But they've made matcha tea ones. They've
Yeah.
made bullshit berry ones. How
Yep.
have they not gotten to cinnamon?
Maybe they have.
That'd be pretty good.
I haven't
you know?
been everywhere in the world. Maybe they have it out there.
What if it's in Russia only?
Right. At Good and Tasty or
Well,
whatever
it's
the
gonna-
new.
It's going to
or
have
whatever the new-
something else terrible with it. It's going to be like cinnamon and asparagus.
Of course, yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. You just brought up Good and Tasty in Russia because McDonald's pulled out.
Mm.
And in its place, all of the restaurants changed to Good and Tasty, which is, and they're serving all, I don't know how they're doing it, but they're basically trying to serve the same menu, except they can't use any of the same words.
Oh, it's
So-
like the Dairy King.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, McDowell's.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
They're working very closely on a new version of the Big Mac that shows Russian pride, but also is not the Big Mac because they're big and tasty now.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to Australia, Burger Kings are called something else. They're not called Burger King. You can tell it's Burger King. It's the same logo and everything, but it's not called Burger King. It's called
What?
oh crap!
Now-
Happy something.
So I know
I'll
that.
look it up.
Is it what is the reason?
Is it
because
called Fuck the King?
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, I think it might have something to do with the
With
fact
the monarchy.
the monarchy. I'm not sure about that though.
in the Middle East, I know for sure when we were in wherever we were in Dubai, I think, and the church's chicken
Yeah.
was Texas chicken
Yep.
because they don't have churches
Yeah.
in the Middle East.
Yeah, and it took a second to look at it. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, I get that.
It was you guys were down to mosques chicken
Yeah.
And actually, now that you mention that, I
Temple
remember
chicken.
looking this up before, and what it was there was actually a Burger King already in Australia, and that's why they had to change the name. It's called Happy in Australia. Let's see, Australia. It's called Happy Jacks, is what it's called, I think. Yeah.
Oh, they
Happy
went as
Jacks.
close as they could to another.
Yeah.
Is it what is their logo? A smiling
Hungry
ping
Jacks.
pong
Yeah.
ball?
It's Hungry Jacks. You see
Oh, that sounds even more stolen.
You
Yeah.
won't find a Burger King in Australia because they're all called Hungry Jacks.
But they have the same burger logo.
It's the same.
And they're
thing.
called Hungry Wow, I would have just not gone there with Burger King. It seems like a lot of stuff to ship over on a barge without checking to see if there was copyright infringement.
It
Right.
seems like Burger King has enough money to buy a name from like a burger
Yeah.
joint in Australia.
I know, but it was some kind of crazy thing. I'll tell you another thing that's really kind of cool. You ever seen like when you see pictures of Beijing, China? Okay, I stayed there once at this Marriott right downtown. It's right there where they run those parades with the big missiles going across, down the parade path. All the people-
How did they say Marriott?
I don't know exactly.
I'm just curious.
But in the basement, you wouldn't believe it. In the basement of this kind of area where the hotel was, there's this like food court down there. And they had a fucking sizzler in there.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And I mean a sizzler with the flat out with the wagon with the
No shit.
salad bar wagon
All
and
the
everything.
way.
It was entirely a full blown fucking sizzler. I ate there like 3 times.
Yeah, I'd have been psyched.
Yes.
In 5 days, I think I ate there 3 times.
You fuckers are gonna love me. Let's set up shop. Let's do this.
It is a funny thing, man, when you're so far away from home, like all those things.
Dude,
you're
I haven't
just
seen a
like, I'll
sizzler
just keep
here.
going
I haven't seen a
back.
sizzler
No.
here in forever. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's what I'm saying. It was like, this is
Y'all
back in-
pop up a Grandy's pop up down the corner. We got
Oh,
something going
shit.
on.
Or a,
That was
a
2015.
Perkins.
2015.
All right.
And they also had in Shanghai. They had a Hooters, and now all the Hooters girls are Asian.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in.
That's the end of it.
Let's go. I'm into it.
Good try, guys. Good try. Golf clap.
Yeah.
Should have called this place Maths. Cheers. We got whiskey
Yes.
and plenty of things to talk about. We all old members of the Laff Stop crew in various eras. Did we all collide? Was there like one period where we were all officially hanging out at the Laff Stop
I
together?
believe so.
I think
That's how
so. I
met
think
you.
so. I think so.
Like
Yeah.
one
I
big.
mean, I met Chuck in 04 when I first started, and met Paul about the same time.
Yeah.
I was kind of in the
Okay.
class right behind you.
Yeah, I think the only thing I didn't meet you really until
Until later.
a little after.
Yeah.
But like we crossed paths, but never really hung.
That was the.
You know, it's
I was
just-
driving in from Shittsville.
You had a lot going on.
I opened for you and Mo Amir, like my third week of like hanging around the Laff Stop.
Well, hats off to him for
On a Sunday. It was
making
like a
the Black
Sunday
Adam
show.
trailer.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, was he in the trailer?
He's in the
Yeah,
trailer
he's
with
driving the truck
with a
for a
speaking
minute.
part in
That's
the trailer.
cool.
So
What a cool thing.
Lots of love to Mo.
He
He's-
sounds
great.
like his Uncle Jack.
I remember Mo at open mic back when he was doing jokes like about sitting on the toilet and reading the shampoo bottles and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying when he very first started.
He was Mo
so
and I.
cool to
Mo
see
and
what
I
he's doing.
were. He is. I don't know who else to really put in my. We all have classes, right?
Mm.
Like the year we started, and I think it was just Mo I can't remember who else. It was April of 2000 for me. So whoever else was in there, I think it was Mo, and Big Ed was a little bit later. And
I don't have anybody left in my class except for Ryan Thauburn.
So
I didn't know
nobody.
Everybody else, fucking, you know.
Poor Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan should be on stage more than Ryan's on stage.
Yeah.
Ryan's one of the funniest people I
He's
know.
Very funny, man.
Danny Rios and I, he started in December of 98, and I started in January of 99, so we pretty much started at the same time.
Yeah, Mo was another one that I didn't run into in the same
We
way.
were
just
showcase
sort of-
guys a lot.
Yeah.
We would do Mondays at the Stop,
Uh-huh.
and then the rest of the nights I drove in, I would drive in for either Times Square on Wednesday or Danny's place on the weekend, one of the
Okay.
shows. So I was in Houston like 3 nights a week, but it was the Laff Stop only one, really.
Yeah, it was one of those things like with you and him. Every time I would see you guys perform, it's like these guys are great. Where the fuck are they? I don't see them. But it was just always y'all are running around and everything.
Yep.
But yeah, it was always fun to watch him and yourself too. But who was it? I started me and Talamash were the same.
In Louis C.K.'s new film,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Her,
exciting.
her and her husband Joe, which is great. Joe
Joe List.
co-wrote it. Yeah. And I look forward to seeing that. That should be fun. Yeah, really interesting.
very exciting. That was a. It's cool to see good things. Everybody always talks about overnight successes and how, and especially now comics coming in who have been doing it 3 years, 2 years, have TikTok pages and they're
Yeah.
famous. But it's very cool that in the last little stretch we've seen like comics who have put in the time start to get their applause.
Well, I think there's a like for yourself, for example, Jerry. Like you are doing very well on TikTok now. For those who don't know, and it's really fun to see. But it's a different situation because this is what Slade's talking about in the sense that like once that spotlight comes around and you get like a bunch of people looking at you, you also have like
Something to
a
do.
backlog of experience and like and comedic ability. That's like, oh yeah, I can turn a fire from this flash in a pan,
Right.
Yeah,
which is what's so cool about it. And that's one of the great things. It's like I love, and I was telling you before we were recording, it's like it's really fun to see like what you're doing because it's like it's just it brings it back to be like just never stop trying new shit and just
Yep.
doing things and don't ever, as long as you don't ever make that like weird Amish line in the sand where you're just like I'm doing no more than this. Like you can always do stuff.
Well, you
You
told
know?
Trey that last time you were here. You're like, you should be trying to make something.
Of course.
Some kind of special, something.
Of
You
course.
should always be
We need
working
something.
towards something. I felt that after we did my special, and regardless of whatever happened with it, I felt very empty for like 2 months.
Oh,
Like,
my God.
I don't know what the fuck to do, man. And I
Yep.
was trying to convince myself I was on top of it, and I was working on bits, and I hated every goddamn one of them, and I was just like, it was very
Out of sorts.
unwashed,
Out of sorts.
Yeah, man. I just felt kind of empty. I was like, "Fuck, I've been pushing for this, and
Well,
I don't know what to push for."
for me, like I've had to distance myself from like being attached to any one project right now where I'm like, oh, the fate of this, everything's hanging on it, which is where I spend a lot of time. Like if this thing, if this album doesn't do it, or if this doesn't do anything, then what the fuck am I going to do? And now it's just kind of like, all right, man, I just make shit. It's the emotional attachment to this is there because obviously it's a special or it's a show or it's a book or it's a thing. But there's also there's a weird shift you can make that allows you to sort of not look at that as a cliff's edge, and it's just kind of like a waypoint. You're just like, oh, cool, just one more lap.
I'm having really fun with the idea of right now is I film shit every day.
Yeah.
I film something, edit something, create something every day. A lot of it is crap.
Yes,
But that's
Some
how
of it's
it goes.
very funny though.
That's how it goes because there's two things about that. Like one, I feel like it's just you're not like, speaking to what you were saying about like getting your hopes hung on one thing. It's about an average. All you're trying to do is increase your average.
Yes.
You should have the highest average that you can, and that's a constantly
change
like,
because you get to drop your
yeah.
bottom X.
So
and
exactly. So you just keep going for the next. So if you have a couple that are like, yeah, whatever, that's not my standard.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
just a thing, and then you just keep doing it. And then the other part about that empty feeling, it's like it's what I imagine like sailing past a lighthouse is. Like once you get past that lighthouse, you're like, I don't know where the next lighthouse is. So you really need to like keep going until you can find
like
it.
driving a Tesla.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, when you equate it to like music, it's the same kind of thing that Eddie Spaghetti and the Super Suckers. He told me once. He said, you get too wrapped up in producing the record and listening to it and mixing and this, that, and the other and working the business side of the thing and everything, sometimes you just got to say, fuck it, make cool records.
Yeah.
Make cool records. And it's the same with everything you're talking about right now,
Right.
Just make cool records,
Yeah.
If it's fucking cool, the rest of it will take care of itself.
I forget who's.
I don't know anything about being cool, but I've just
Well,
been
no, but
focusing on making.
But that's absolutely
I've
true.
been
You know what
focusing
I'm
on
saying?
making stuff I like.
Yeah.
And
This
good.
is shit I like.
Right.
And hopefully there's other people that like it.
There are. That's the beauty of the time that we
That's
live in.
what makes it cool.
Yes.
There's
And
an
I-
audience
That's the
for
way,
that.
Like and piggybacking on what you said, I forget whose quote it was. I hate that I don't remember, but it's just make good art,
Yeah.
just regardless, just whatever's going on. Just
I tell people all the
Like
time.
you're like always drawing, always trying in a different medium, always doing
Just
some
trying
different
stuff.
shit with
You're
it.
just trying
I
to
like
make-
the ones where you overlay your podcast over to it, and you hear
Oh,
you
thanks.
having these very serious conversation while this beautiful piece sort of unfolds in front of you. It's very
See?
soothing
that,
to me.
and I appreciate that's 100% directly inspired by you. And then also talking to Slade and Chase and Trey when we were over there
There was some
drinking.
very
and-
formative conversations
Yeah, oh,
that
thank
night
you very
about
much.
what's Neil Gaiman, by
I
the way.
appreciate it.
Make good
perfect. Well, that I mean, who better to listen to
Of course.
than somebody like
Let me
that?
ask you this, Chuck, because I know you've mixed and produced so much music in your life, and ever since I've known you, you've always been creating shit. Like, how many times, like when you're doing something, and you have to listen to it 100 times, do you get to this point where you're just like, I hate this. I don't
Nope.
want to hear this again.
No,
I
but I
fucking
get to-
hate this.
I get to a point where I settle.
Ah.
I settle for things because it's like you can overproduce it.
Yeah, very easily, yes.
And it's more like you gotta just get it together, throw it against the wall, see if it sticks. If it doesn't, you know how many songs I have right now, dude. You
I
can't
couldn't
imagine.
begin to fathom.
This new album I'm working on right now has like 25 or 26. I'm trying to whittle down to 15 or so. But I mean, I went through my catalog the other day. I had a computer crash on me, and I had to go yank all the info out of it, and all these. So I had all these backups, and I piled it all in one big pile, and started going through the music and just started sorting some stuff. Finally, like I should have done the whole fucking time, but I didn't do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was trying to add it all up. It's well over 400 songs that I have written in my life.
Damn,
Just-
you're
Jeez.
prolific.
and just like cranking stuff out. I was telling people.
So you just write down every thought you have? That is a lot.
No, what I did. It's funny you said you were talking about Paul painting and everything, because I tell people this all the time. I say, some people go home from work because I got a day job these days, and so that when I go home from work, some people go home and they got some oil paints, and they sit there and get a glass of wine, and they sit there and paint a duck flying over a lake, you know what I mean, whatever, and
It's a pelican and it's beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
I do the
Zen
same
friends
thing.
with.
I do the
Love
same thing with
pelicans.
GarageBand in my Mac.
Yeah.
And that's all I use. I use GarageBand. It's very simple and very intuitive, and it's like it knows what you're trying to do. And after doing it for 20 years in GarageBand, I'm pretty fucking fast at it. And I know all the little tricks to do with it, and I can make it. I can make things that it's a beautiful thing. You talk about creating. The beautiful thing about GarageBand and the entire Apple world, if you will, I can take an idea from right here, okay, and in my house, I can pick up that guitar and put it into that machine and completely realize the idea that is in my head all the way to a finished single. And then, without leaving the room, I can get on TuneCore or something like that,
Share it.
and I can have that for sale
Yeah.
to the American public or anybody, the world public,
Sure.
with never leaving that fucking room.
It's bizarre.
But there's also a huge chunk of musical talent that goes along with that.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that
at
gives
that
you
point.
that ability.
I'm at that
you've
point in my
built,
career.
developed.
Because I've been playing for a long time. I owe a lot of that to Jesse Dayton, Brian Thomas. That was my. People talk about paying back student debt. I don't know how that would work for me. I didn't go to college. I went to the school of playing music and being on the road and shit.
Yeah.
Jesse Dayton, fellow Beaumonster.
Mm.
Little shout out to that.
Doesn't he share your birthday as well?
We have the same birthday,
yeah.
and we're probably the only two things that have come out or gotten out of Beaumont, Texas, in the last 20 years.
I know that you meant that in an endearing way, but that's the best term I've ever heard for people from Beaumont.
That's it's Jesse's term. He
I
owns
love
it.
it. I love it.
It's the title of his memoir. In fact,
You
It's
don't
so
really want to
good.
go here, do you?
I love it.
'Cause I got stories on
Yeah.
this one now. that
Well,
wait,
really-
on Beaumont or Jesse?
on the new book.
Oh, so you do. You're in that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's
I'll say
talk.
it on your podcast because it's the first time I've ever taken it public. You ready?
Oh yes.
All right, in that book, there are 2 stories in there. That gentleman, he's a friend of mine. He's a brother of mine, but he's been known to, what's the word I'm looking for? Exaggerate on occasion,
Embellish.
embellish. There are 2 stories in there that I'll be glad to tell them to you, or I won't. I'll tell you them off camera, whatever. that he says happened to him,
Oh,
they
no.
happened to me.
Wait, hang on a second.
Borrowed part of your life.
Uh-oh. All right, hang on. So wait, which story? Let's talk about this.
You're the real
Well-
Jay Peterman.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
No.
Which? So wait, which?
We don't have to go there now. Like I said,
No.
okay.
But I want to hear yours. It's not in a bad way. I love Jesse, but I also want to know the story that
Yeah,
happened.
just tell us a story that
Tell us
happened
a
to you
story
that
that happened to you.
Somebody else thinks happened to them.
Okay, well, I'll give you two quick ones. The first one will be a real Reader's Digest condensed version. Recording Jesse's first record in Willie Nelson's golf course studio up there at Pedernales. Okay, and he tells a story about there that he gets Flaco Jimenez from the Texas Tornadoes to come play on a song called Carmelita. Great song, and he gets him to. He talks about how got him on the phone. He said, "Well, man, you got to come get me in San Antonio if you want me to come play on it. You know, you got to drive out here, and that's a 2 6-pack ride. You know." So I got 2 6-packs of beer. We got 2 6-pack beer. We went and picked up Flaco in San Antonio and brought him back there. And of course, Flaco style, he walks in, nails it in one take, and says, "Now you got to take me home." Okay, and that's basically the gist of the story. It makes for a funny story. Didn't happen like that.
How many 6-packs was it?
How many takes?
What
was
really
it?
happened was the producer Randall.
Guessing Dayton didn't buy the 6-packs.
Randall Jamel, the producer, and Jesse were working on the songs, working on the record. And I was a PA. I was like there. I sang a little bit of background vocals on the record, and I was there just to kind of work on the record and help, you know. And that was my job, to hang out and help. And so he throws me the keys to his Mercedes 5000 or 100, whatever bazillion badass
Some number.
Mercedes, and says, "Here, you go pick up Flaco at the hotel in Austin." He's just in Austin at the hotel because everybody was in town for the South by Southwest.
Right.
And we were recording at the same time. And that's how he was able to get Flaco because he was already in town. He said, "Come on out." He probably paid him a bunch of money. Randall did, you know. And then he also got the Dixie Chicks to come out and sing on that all during South by Southwest.
Jeez.
But the thing was I went out there. He told me the keys. I drove, picked up the guy. I got the beer. I drank beer with him, talking shit with him all the way back and everything. And it really happened to him. But that's not the kicker. The real one is the John Lee Hooker story.
Oh shit! I thought you were gonna say he claimed to have played on Mitch Hedberg's album.
Yeah, that was it.
A lot of y'all don't know I was a bass player.
Now listen, I'll tell you, I love Jesse to death, but he just makes shit up. He'll make
if
shit
this
up.
joke sucks, Jesse wrote it.
Or borrow shit.
Yeah.
And this is what happened on this one. This one pisses me off, okay? Because the story he tells in the book is this: he met John Lee Hooker at his house in his bedroom, John Lee Hooker's bedroom, okay? And we were all there.
A lot of big ladies went through there.
Big leg lady went.
Boom, 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 boom. When you walk in the room.
So the way he tells the story is this: we were playing at Slim's. Man, I was kicking it at Slim's, you know, having a kick-ass show, you know. And this girl on the side of the stage keeps looking at me every time I come out. So we stop the show and we go back to an encore. She's still there. She won't leave and everything. And finally, she comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, man, you're just so good. You know, you should meet my boss. You know, I'm a sister. You ever heard of John Lee Hooker?" And so he goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, you know, you want to go meet him? You know?" And she goes, "I didn't know who this girl was. You know, she might become a crazy person." So I said, "Can I take my band with me? Because, you know, I'll tell you something. Old Chuck and Brian, those two world-class drinkers, they never really get too drunk where they can't take care of themselves." That's the left-handed compliment he gives me, all right there. But anyhow, we go further. So he goes, go to their house and everything. Sure enough, we go in there and he goes, "I hear your guitar player, boy. Pick up that guitar and play me some licks, you know." And so I started playing for him and everything. And I saw a picture of Sean Penn over on the wall, and he said, you know, "Who's that?" He goes, "That's Sean Penn. He brings me spaghetti. He knows I like the spaghetti. He brings me the spaghetti, you know." So that stuff. And Jesse's reading this. I'm listening to this in the audiobook version of this when I heard this, okay? And so I'm like going, you know, all right, cool, you know. And he says, you know, basically that, you know, we go there and he saw all his awards and how cool it was to see his awards, and that was great. We only hung out about 30, 40 minutes, took some pictures, and he put his hat on to take the pictures and all this stuff. The end. Okay, that's basically the story he tells. All right.
The knuckle crack. Can you hear it?
Here's what happens. First off, there was no gig at Slim's. Okay. It was an off night. Okay. All right. Secondly, Jesse didn't meet a girl that was impressed with him and wanted to know if he wanted to meet John Lee Hooker. I did. At my job, I had a day job at the same place I work now, and they'd sent me out there to train this girl to be like an audio-visual expert because there was nobody there to do it out there. So she needed help training, just basic training. So I was training this girl for 2 or 3 days. I started telling her my job is I'm a musician, and I do this on the side. I'm an AV freelancer, you know. And she goes, well, I'm a musician. She goes, really? I go, yeah. She goes, you ever heard of John Lee Hooker? And I'm like, well, yes, I have. John Lee the Hooker, sure. And she goes, yeah, I'm his harmonica player. And I live at his house by the pool, in the pool house. I live in the pool house with my daughter. And I'm kind of the caretaker there and receive packages and things like that, for during the stuff. And so
take spaghetti and whatnot when Sean Penn brings it.
No, even better. She goes, would you like to meet him? I said, yes, I would. Could I take my band with me?
Oh, that's great.
Could I take my band with me? Because, I said, next time we're coming through town, we'll try to set something up. So we had an off night. We're in El Paso. And I said, hey, if I can set this up by the time we get to San Jose, California, we're driving through there. We got an off night. Do y'all want to go meet John Lee Hooker? And they said, sure, fucking whatever. They didn't believe I could really do it. Yeah. And so this girl goes, I called the girl up and I said, let's do this. And she goes, okay, great. Meet me downtown at this restaurant. He loves this spaghetti. Okay. So, awesome. So we bought spaghetti. And took the spaghetti, we basically went there and got the spaghetti and took it to his house. And it was first off, his story, John Lee Hooker would have been wide awake at 4 a.m. Okay. It was not, the guy was 95 years old at the time. He died 6 months later, I think.
Oh, wow.
I'm not kidding. But the point was, this story happened about 6:30 in the evening. And we walk in, the first thing you notice was we had this inlay, like a wooden thing like this on the floor. It had a wooden Les Paul. It said JLH. In the wood on the walk, and it was badass looking. But anyhow, you walk in, there were 20 relatives in the living room and the kitchen. They'd all kind of started swarming there because they knew he was close to not being around anymore. And so it was a whole thing. A lot of relatives were there and trying to figure things out. She was not living there anymore, but she had called and said, I'm bringing some guys by. They want to meet you. They're traveling through town. They're guitar players, and yada, yada. And he said, come on,
Yeah.
And so, because they were really good friends, But anyhow, I'm sorry, I'm dragging this.
No, I want to know.
But, so basically, we go in his bedroom, and he's laying on the bed with his pants undone, like watching a TV up in the corner, a TV in the corner, and just laying there hanging out. And we go all in there. He doesn't say, "Hey, pick up that guitar, boy." In fact, Jesse just walked over and picked up his guitar, and I was kind of like, "Wow,
that's
ballsy." Yeah. So, but anyhow, he could barely talk, so he didn't say anything like that. What he said was stuff like, "Your boys from Texas, yeah, they got a lot of pretty girls in Texas." He said stuff like that, a lot of pretty girls in Texas,
Sure.
And he goes,
he just spoke in ZZ Top lyrics.
He did kind of. You laugh, but some of ZZ Top's biggest stuff is John Lee Hooker bass. LaGrange is John
Lee
Hooker.
Sounds like it, yeah.
But he basically goes, yeah, I got a pool out there. I got a pool. I got a peephole. He goes, he could look at the back of his house in this peephole, and he was telling us this kind of funny stuff and everything,
I got a peephole.
Yeah, and he could look out the back at the girls swimming in the pool back there, and that's what he was talking about. And then we hung out for about 30 minutes, took some pictures, and let him be, and we dropped off spaghetti. He took the spaghetti and put it in the refrigerator in his room so that the people out there would eat his fucking spaghetti. It's a true story. It's true,
You do kind of look like Sean Penn, though. So maybe that's where it came from.
But the fact, so we leave the room, and she takes us around the other side of the room, and just seeing some of the pictures on the walls. There was a picture, like a class photo, of about 300 people. And 2 people sitting in the middle. It was John Lee Hooker and Miles Davis. And the rest of them were like a bunch of celebrity musicians. And like right in the back corner was Dennis Hopper, like trying to get his head like this.
Wow.
Really. And then the most amazing thing, though, was we come back around there through the kitchen into the living room, and on top of the fireplace was a big photograph of Bonnie Raitt handing him his Lifetime Achievement Award Grammy. And right next to it in this fishbowl-looking thing was that Lifetime Achievement Grammy.
Oh, wow.
And you can go in their homes with 100 bona fide fucking rock stars. You're not going to see one of those.
Yeah.
No.
And I was taking pictures of it and shit. It was badass.
That's cool as shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a better story.
It's a better fucking story anyhow.
It's a better fucking
Chuck, we're going to need you to write a book, man.
Yeah, you should.
But he literally told the story the other way. That happened in the
Just
book.
call your book Houston Monster.
Isn't that annoying? That kind of taps into the comic thing where you're like, I'm not mad that somebody stole my shit. I'm mad that they didn't do it as good as it was.
Yeah,
Like there's like a part of
You
that.
just
that's like,
didn't tell it right.
Like you could have told it better. Yeah, that's part.
Don't steal my joke, but if you do, don't fuck it up.
Right, exactly. That's
it would have been a better, cooler story if he just told the fucking truth.
right. Right.
But man, the problem I have with it is this. Just like I just told you guys this fucking story that happened to me.
Yeah.
I've told a lot of people that story.
Yeah.
Now they read his book, they're going to think I was full of shit.
No.
no.
I believe who told me the story first.
Right.
That's who I believe. Now,
Yeah,
not
but
in this
some people
instance
believe
because
something once it's in print. You know?
Yeah, you see, and that's what I'm saying, you know.
Most of those
Well,
people
this is
are
in
dying.
print. This must be true.
Yeah.
That goddamn Chuck.
Most of those generations are going pretty soon, I believe.
I'll say this
Yeah.
about Jesse, even though I'll make it fair and level set, you know. My whole life I've known the guy when I've worked with him. He always wrote his own press kit every day. He just writes his own press kit, and that's what he's doing there.
That's insane.
yeah.
He did it frequently?
No, I'm saying just in general, he'd do radio interviews, whatever.
He was just a self-promoter
he'd
guy.
just making shit up. That's
Gotcha.
what I'm trying to say. He was just
Wow.
making shit up.
I thought about a story you told me about touring with him a long time ago because I was watching Lonesome Dove again.
Ah,
And it got to that scene that you and me both love with Augusta sitting there, that rudeness in a man. I don't tolerate it.
Rude behavior.
Yeah, rude behavior in a man. I won't tolerate it.
Yeah, that's one of the best books I ever read. And great. Yeah, I mean, but yeah,
I just literally started reading that book for the first time.
It's so
I found a
fantastic.
copy in that property me and Rachel have taken over.
wait, Lonesome Dove?
yeah.
Her uncle was a voracious reader and book collector, and so I'm just going through his books and finding out, you know.
I didn't know it was a book.
It's-
Yeah,
I've heard
It's
the
a thick son
the
bitch.
TV adaptation stays pretty true to the book.
It is pretty close, but there's just more. You know, I mean, you
Yeah,
don't want to be
fabric,
that
more
asshole. It's
fabric.
like
No,
the book
Ricky
is
Schroeder
whatever,
in the
but
I
it's,
thought this was like a Garth Brooks song or something.
oh, it's so good. Yeah,
Lonesome Dove, the movie, you never saw it.
I don't
Ricky
know
Schroeder
anything
gets
about-
eaten by the water moccasins and
if you
Silver Spoons, Ricky Schroeder?
Yeah.
Gets eaten by snakes?
water
Yeah.
moccasins, yeah.
So we have a thing.
Is it him or is it the
No,
little
it's
the
the little
Mexican kid?
it's the little redheaded
Little
kid
redheaded
from
kid.
Ireland, the little Irish kid.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Being-
Y'all do redheads so
The
wrong.
Irish don't fare well with water moccasins
No.
in any
No.
Western movie.
Especially in this movie.
burns them right up. But being from the South and stuff, I know you either love Texas stuff, country things, or you're kind of like, that's not my bullshit.
Right.
When I went to New York for as long as I was, I got like more of an affinity for, you know, where you're from, you know,
Yeah.
and so I read a few westerns, and Lonesome Dove and Blood Meridian are the two best books I may have ever read. So
Wow.
Lonesome Dove's by Larry McMurtry, and it's a fucking beautiful, beautiful book. It's so good. It's all about like friendship and duty and like all these like life lessons and aging and all this shit. And Blood Meridian is just like a glimpse into hell through poetry. It's like a weird, and that's all Cormac McCarthy.
Yes.
So but that's a like bone rattling, fucking weird.
Somebody else.
ride.
Is that the one? Did somebody just do a soundtrack to that or something?
Yeah, the dude from
1S maybe?
No,
Or, who-
I hate that I forget his name, but I've listened to
he's
this.
a Texas.
He's in another band called well, you got your
Yeah, I'll look
computer.
it up.
Anyway,
There's
but
a
it's
great,
great.
there's a great
You would probably
scene in
dig it.
Lonesome Dove though,
the soundtrack he's
where
looking at.
Ricky Schroeder's this young kid or whatever, and there's this army captain who's trying to take his horse, commandeer his horse, and he starts whipping the kid and, you know, kind of just treating him like shit in public. And is it Augustus McCrae? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Augustus? It's
No, it's Tommy Lee
it's Tommy
Jones.
Lee Jones.
Yes.
No, that's
And-
Woodrow
oh,
Call.
oh,
That's
yeah,
Woodrow
Woodrow,
Call.
yeah, Woodrow is Tommy Lee Jones. Augustus is Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
So wait, there's a movie and a TV show?
Yeah,
TV
it's a
movie.
movie.
No,
movie.
it's a 6-hour TV miniseries.
was like a
It takes
miniseries.
6
When?
hours.
Back in the 80s.
yeah,
80s.
late 80s, I
With
believe.
Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall.
Yeah, but
And it's
Tommy
the-
Lee
it's
Jones
their best roles.
rides down this street as fast as he can on this horse, charges his army commander, jumps out, starts whipping the ever-loving shit out of him, picks up a horseshoe brand, and is just commencing to beating him to fucking death.
Yeah.
And Robert Duvall rides up and ropes Tommy Lee Jones and pulls him off his ass before he
Yeah.
kills him.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lee Jones sort of dusts himself off, and he gets up on his horse, and all the people are looking, and he says, "Rude behavior in a man. I won't tolerate it."
Yeah, it's great. Because the two of them are very, very old friends. They were both Texas Rangers, and they're like on the tail end of their life, and so they're doing this long cattle drive. Is the whole
It's
story.
something to do. It's something to
It's
do.
a wild thing.
It's something to do.
Yeah,
They didn't have
and
anything to do. They
there's
were
a
bored. They
moment-
were bored.
Yeah, and there's all these great little like parables and analogies in the book. It's just littered with them. And I used to think about it. When I was bartending in New York, I equated it to this cowboy attitude, because when you would be around it, it resembled the same kind of like unfounded arrogance for no particular reason.
Right.
And so there was this thing in the book in Lonesome Dove where one of the cowboys had to get down from his horse to go do something, and it really pissed him off. And it was just one of those things where it's like a cowboy hates to get down from his horse. And I would always feel that anytime I had to come out from behind the bar to go do anything,
You were getting off the horse.
to go like get a cup or whatever, and it felt like, and it was always one of those like, I don't want to get off the goddamn horse. I'm not with you fucking assholes. And there's that weird like, it doesn't matter, but it does because it's just a psychological like hierarchy thing. But it's such a funny thing, like westerns and shit. It's like it's such a mythology. And like an archetype, and it's just, I mean, it's where, I mean, you're such a huge Star Wars fan, like,
Yes.
all of it kind of comes from the same, that and samurai and the whole,
Yes.
like any type of whole world that you can sort of be like, everything operates within this world,
It's
and
just
you
got
see
its
all
own-
the type of people in the world in
Yep.
this world.
It has its own physics and
I
its
love
own
it.
archetypes and
It's
its own.
so fun when you see a fully rounded.
You're gonna
That
make
Lonesome Dove, quick road story with that was we used to have it on a 6-hour VHS tape
Of fun.
in a shitty little RV we used to ride around in. It had a little TV in the corner with the player built in.
Dude, I wish I had that.
And what we would do is we would check in. We would like pull over on the side of the road and we'd sleep like in the parking lot of a
Yeah,
truck
Walmart,
stop,
yeah.
truck stop, Walmart, something like that. But we'd leave the TV on so that it looked like some shit was going on and there's been one fuck with our RV and fuck with us, you know. And there's noise going on, and we would put that Lonesome Dove tape in every night for that beginning.
That's great.
And so you could wake up and you could say, all right, oh man, they're at the water moccasins. Okay, we're only 3 hours in. Good. I've only slept 3 hours. I can sleep 2 more hours before we got to get up at 5. You know what I mean? And we would gauge what time it was.
It's like a
There was no
weird
clock.
digital hourglass.
It was the clock. It was the clock, and it would tell us like, you say, oh shit, you know, he's already taking him back to Texas. We got to get up. We got to get out of here. We got supposed to be in the next town.
That's great, man.
Lonesome Dove. I'm gonna watch it. You guys have now talked me into it, or maybe I'm gonna read it.
I would read it, then watch it.
Yeah,
Okay.
read it, then watch it.
that would be
You're
a
gonna
good way to
enjoy
go.
the
I'm
shit
probably
out of
just gonna do one or the other.
I'd
will
watch
want-
it then,
You will
because-
want to watch it after you read it because you'll be
God.
curious. Like, I wonder how the fuck you fit all this because it's a big ass book.
Damn it.
It
Every
is
one of them.
Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall at their.
It's the very
Yeah.
best. They're at their at
It
peak.
is the most Robert Duvall you've ever seen. Robert Duvall.
You know what would be the best of both worlds is if those two did the audiobook.
Wouldn't it? Yeah.
And then I could just be done in 6 hours, but also get both.
Well, they
of them.
called Tommy, and he said, "Fuck that."
Duvall has said that's one of his favorite roles of all time. It was one of his very favorite roles. If you list them out, it's
we share a birthday. It's always been one of the prouder things about.
Really,
Yeah,
but
it's
has he told any of your stories on
Not
the? No,
yet.
that's-
Not yet. No.
Paul Oddo, Chuck Savage, our guests, going to be sticking around for episode 1030. We're taping that right now for those of you watching live. It's going to be coming out on Friday for the rest of you. Jerry Wayne, you are the 18th in Fort Worth, correct?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
getting
June
that date right?
18th in Fort Worth at Hyena's Red Room.
Here in the Red Room. It's a beautiful room and a beautiful club. You'll undoubtedly be headlining that when you go back around. I'm sure I have dates. I know I'm going with you to Louisville in August, and
In
I have.
August.
I'm busy with the Andy Huggins special. We're taping July 23rd at Heights Theater. Those tickets go on sale Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Very exciting there. Chuck Savage, Paul Oddo will both be back. Jose Pena, cheers, brother. Holding it down in the back. He's already drank his alcohol. We only ration him a little bit every show so that the shots stay
Doing
on
a
point.
job.
We will see you guys on another episode soon.
I believe in good whiskey, and I believe in good times. I believe in good music, loud guitars,